everyone. So it's really wet and rainy today, so we're not going to be out canoeing or camping. We're going to stick close to home and get some projects done. We're a great day to do some gear repair and maintenance. Specifically, we found an axe on our last camping trip. Last week up in the Kawartha Highlands Provincial Park, we were checking out some other campsites, and we found this perfectly broken axe leaning against a bench around one of the campfire pits. And if you're familiar with Ontario parks and their backcountry sites, you know that they always have a big steel fire bin, and they also have a bench put around them. And the benches are made with upright stumps of wood and planks in like a V shape. This person clearly was using the junction of the benches as a chopping block, and these benches are held together with these giant steel spikes, and there's a huge nick out of the blade here, and the handle itself just shattered. So I'm guessing they were splitting wood. They split right through the piece of wood, hit one of those steel spikes, chipped the blade, and then shattered the handle. So they did try to fix it in camp with some zip ties and some duct tape, but then they left it behind. And for those of you that know me, one man's trash is another thrifty woman's treasure. So we are going to replace the handle on this axe and have a brand new one for ourselves, which is great. Replacement handle. I went to my hardware store and I bought one. Comes with the wedges, the wood wedge and the steel wedges. The only thing I don't like is that it's got one coat of varnish on it. I kind of wish it was naked wood so I could just oil it. I might end up sanding this down, the varnish off. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so responsible disclaimer, I am not an expert by any means when it comes to replacing axe handles. My dad showed me how to do it when I was a kid, and I went on YouTube, ironically, to double check that the way he showed me is kind of considered a good method. So please, understand that if you have a better way, I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it. I'm not saying that this is the best way. It's just the way that I was taught and the way that I'm going to do it. So, yeah, less talky-talky, more worky-worky. by far the crappiest part of this project was getting the old handle out of the axe head. I ended up using my drill to drill a bunch of holes in the wedge to loosen it up, and then kind of chiseling it out, and then finally popping it out using a bit of wood. You want to try not to hammer on the metal part of the axe head because you don't want to damage it too much. This one was already pretty chewed up, so I kind of got away with doing a little bit of that, but mostly I chiseled and drilled holes and worked away at it. And in the meantime, the sun has come out. It's all very humid and very, very, very hot here. But we're going to keep going. Next step is to fit the new handle, sand it down, make a nice tight fit, and add the wedges. You're going to want to dry fit your head of your axe onto the handle several times, marking with a pencil how far down you've gone on the curve here. You really want to be just maybe a quarter to half an inch up from where it tapers. And when you look down through the axe head, you shouldn't see any daylight, which I don't now. So we've got a nice tight fit, and this is at the stage where we can put our wedge in. Alrighty, so with the little metal wedge is in, the handle is very firmly attached to the axe head. I did have a piece of wood on the ground so I didn't wreck my butt end of my handle. Yeah, she's looking good. Clean it up the edge bit and we're ready to sharpen. Alright, so our handle is replaced. I'm really happy with how this went, seeing as how I haven't done this since I was a kid, and my dad was there to help me. A couple things I wish I had. I wish I'd had a reciprocating saw or a jigsaw to cut the excess kerf and wedge piece off. And I also wish I had a palm sander that I could really sand down this little nubbin here, but I'm going to get mine back. I've loaned it out to a friend and take care of making that a little nicer. You know, for something that was just left behind by a camper that they thought was unwanted, this was a great rainy day project. And for the cost of a replacement handle, which I think was about 15 bucks, I've got a new axe to play with at camp. And actually next camp is in about 4 days, so we'll get some use out of it, I'm sure. Yeah, thanks for watching. Not bad for there being such a big nick out of that blade.